When you're ready to try a buttonhole on the Singer Start 1304 sewing machine, you are going to reach into your accessory bag and pull out the long white foot with the B on it. Now make sure you can read the B. It should be in the back. That means that as we stitch and attach the foot almost looks like it's sticking out the back side, and that is true. When you look at your stitch selection dial, for the pictures for the buttonhole, there is a 1, and notice beside it there's an arrow that points north or away from you. So this is going to travel away from you first. Step 2 is going to be the tack at the back or top of the buttonhole. Step 3 will bring you back down the other side of the buttonhole leg, and then 4 is going to close it up. So I'm going to show you some tips along the way. You can mark how big of a buttonhole you need based on your button or item you're going to be putting through it. You could also measure it and use one of these red lines so you know how far to go to. If you just want one that's this length, you'll be able to travel back, and when the red lines match, you'll know that that's the time to turn around. It also will help you get, say, 10 buttonholes all the same length without having to do all the marking. The only thing you might want to mark is where you're starting. So if I'm starting, I'm going to start, and then the buttonholes will stitch away from where you start, and then that way you'll be expecting that. So just make sure you don't put your dot here and go that way, because that's the direction it's going. So let's go ahead and put a buttonhole foot on. With your fabric, you do need to have some type of stabilizer. So usually on a pattern, there would have been something ironed onto the back of it. If it's just a single layer, you need to put something behind it like a tearaway. And in the worst case scenario, just put a piece of paper behind it. You need to have something for those teeth to attach to. Okay, so I'm going to just do a buttonhole. I'm going to just do it in the middle of the fabric. I also need to push the buttonhole foot all the way as far as it'll go, because that's the starting point where the two red lines meet. So start at step number 1 on the dial. Make sure your foot is pushed all the way back. Now this thread is probably going to be on the top the very first time you use it. So if you just go ahead and hold on to it, you'll be able to clip it off, or when you're done, it will pull down and underneath your presser foot. All right, so let's just go ahead. We'll start. You'll notice it is stitching away from us, just like the picture showed. And I can watch how far back I want. So if I'm looking at this line right here, I can stop when those two red lines meet. A little tip, if the needle did stop in the fabric, turn your hand wheel so the needle is above the fabric before you turn it to its next step, because it is going to move the needle. Step 2 and 4 that we'll be doing, you can just kind of count, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't want too many on the ends, just enough to really be secure. Then you're going to go ahead and turn it to step 3. This is going to produce the right leg of the buttonhole. And you can even watch where you started, because remember you had it lined up. So you really want it so the two legs are about even. My needle's high above the fabric, so I'll turn it to 4. Again, you're in charge. How many stitches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was similar to what we had earlier. So let's take a look. Our first buttonhole, and ta-da! So that is easy. Usually you want to take some scissors to cut open a buttonhole. That's the easiest. Some people will put a little fray check, which is some fabric glue in here, which will kind of seal the edges, let it dry for 5 minutes, then cut it open. But when they're this easy, again, buttonholes on a pattern shouldn't discourage you from doing that pattern. Test out a few buttonholes. Try it with the foot fabric and interfacing you plan on using, and just practice through the steps.